Welcome to the American Made and Paid Show, the home of free speech and independent thought.
The big story is freedom of speech is really in trouble. The far left knows that at any time they can call for a sponsor boycott of anyone they despise.
It is right here, right now, where you'll get your weekly dose of unfiltered truth.
It's non-negotiable. Pre-existing conditions will be protected. This president has said this as a candidate.
Insight.
Very few people I know could have handled it. We can never, ever let this happen to another president again.
And information that challenges the American way of life.
Welcome, everybody, to the American Made and Paid Show. I'm back again with Professor Drag. And like I said, we are in the midst of a big conflict, especially over reproductive rights. But we should really call it murder rights. I think from now on, going forward, things like abortion, sanctioning it, are going to be aspects that from now on, I'm not going to call it for what it's not. It is, in fact, murder rights, and that's what they're advocating for. Just this morning, this is somewhat not related, but I just wanted to push it in. I think the governor of Texas, I think his name is Greg Abbott or something. I saw a funny post on Instagram by somebody who said that apparently now they're trying to ban like Chick-fil-A out of the airports because Chick-fil-A is a Christian organization, LGBT type stuff. And it's really funny because I just have to mention this before we start the show. The governor was saying, hey, I know what bill to sign in the law, which is basically no, and he was eating Chick-fil-A while he was doing it. It's really funny, But that's what we're in the midst of, you guys. It's a fight against Christian values, against good and evil. And right now, the most heated thing that's going on in the United States at this moment is abortion rights, right? Murder rights by the progressives. And I want to talk a little bit about the big business behind abortion now, especially with organizations like Planned Parenthood. For those of you who haven't gone out and seen the movie Unplanned, which came out like a month or so ago, definitely go and see it. It's not going to be pleasant for you, but it is something that needs to be talked about. It is something that will awaken a lot of people to the cause, which is why progressives want it banned and censored so much. But Planned Parenthood, just like every other organization, makes money by enforcing abortion quotas, right? Now, they claim that it's a fraction of their business, right? Yet more than half of the revenue comes from overall abortions. So this is the funny thing, is that the Planned Parenthood motto, right? Even in the name Planned Parenthood, this is how progressives get you guys with language, because they fool you into thinking Planned Parenthood, when in reality, it's more like, preventing parenthood. But just in that notion alone of them claiming that abortion services are just a small percentage of what they provide, they are taught to lie. The counselors there are taught to lie to you. They're taught to coerce you. So we can talk about the business of abortion, the ins and outs of it, but the bottom line for the subject of this conversation today is, again, going to be around the psychological manipulation behind progressivism. And it manifests not even in just the tax returns, but in their mottos. So, but we were talking before the show, Professor Dragon. You were saying something about some Mexican lady that got killed. Apparently, I mean, it's a sad thing. But
Marlene Archoa Lopez.
Yeah,
I believe that's her name. If she could have been the murderer. But okay, so long story short, this is what had happened. This couple, just and I believe that the race is really important. This happened in Chicago on May 18th, I guess was the date, and this is coming in from CNN. But long story short, this 19-year-old was lured by this couple, and that couple, oh man, this is really gruesome, but they stabbed her to death and cut the baby out of her stomach. Yeah. And cut the baby out of the womb, and the baby actually survived. But I'm trying to find how old that baby is. But man, that baby looks, the baby survived the knife attack, and they don't give, I'm trying to find how old this baby is. But the point is, it's man, because the dad is just he's really young. He's 19 years old, and he's a young couple. But anyway, so I mean, the baby opened the eyes for the first time yesterday. So,
Right.
I don't know if this baby's going to make it or not. But since the baby did open the eyes, I mean, the baby looks like, it's hard to tell. Like, it really is without knowing, without really knowing the facts. But anyway, so long story short, the moral of this story is that the baby can survive outside of the womb.
Right.
Even through trauma, like the trauma that
the mother had suffered, unfortunately.
Yeah, and this one, she passed away, and that's the thing. Like, even at 5 months old, 4 months old, the baby can actually live outside
the womb
if cared for properly. But in this case, obviously this baby wasn't cared for. And obviously, if they ripped her out of the mother's womb, and, try to play it off as their own.
I think you bring up an important point by mentioning that, right? Because if that was something that was real news and people knew that babies could, in fact, if cared for properly, survive outside of the womb, then a lot of the rhetoric in progressivism surrounding babies aren't people and babies aren't real life and babies can't, in fact, be saved becomes an inherent problem, right? That's why this relates. I hear a baby.
Go for it.
It's funny because we're talking about this and we're talking about babies and it's just that. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is right there is information that unfortunately not a lot of people know. And a lot of people who walk into abortion clinics or Planned Parenthoods, right? I think a lot of the people who are seeking help, whether it's contraceptives or whatnot, are being manipulated and coerced into thinking that, that life that they have inside them is not, in fact, something that's actually living. Because that's how they get mothers or potential mothers to agree to it. This is part of the business. You saying that, right, kind of goes against what a lot of progressives will push and say, well, it's not a life. At 3-4 months, it's not really anything. When we've already established the fact that life begins at conception, but that's part of the manipulation of language. That's part of the psychological coercion that happens when they want to meet their quotas.
Well, see, and now they're changing. They're not even talking about life. Now they're changing the whole argument into, hey, it's an economic issue.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of issue for life. And then they go, it's privacy, because the thing about Roe v. Wade wasn't really about abortion. It was really about privacy. And that's why we have HIPAA laws. HIPAA laws are laws that protect a person's rights.
Of course.
To privacy. So in theory, do you have the right to even know if someone got an abortion? And the answer is technically no, you don't. Because and it is true that nobody should know what you do medically, because that's your business. Your business.
Well, because that also prevents insurance companies, right, for raising your premiums or denying you coverage based on pre-existing conditions. That's why it's important. I'm familiar with the HIPAA laws from an HR background, but you're absolutely right. The people who talk about Roe v. Wade, really the big clause here is it's actually part of due process, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And,
no,
and
it is.
It is. And it's about the right to privacy that protects potential future mothers or pregnant women's freedom and liberty to choose whether or not to have an abortion. But it does not justify abortions as being it's neutral on it. It's just, if she goes and gets it, right, the whole point of Roe v. Wade was it shouldn't matter to you. You shouldn't have to know. And she doesn't have to be public about it.
Yeah, and that's why it's not a law. And see, that's what people don't get.
Wow. Talk about manipulation here.
A law. It's not. It's just but anyway, so now, let's go back to the argument was, hey, it's not about killing anymore, because I think because you can tell how the progressives go just by watching The View. So even on The View, Sunny, she's an attorney. I forgot her last name, but she's against abortion because she's a Catholic. And her Catholic belief is like, hey, look, you just don't do abortions because that's life. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
So she said, so she's in favor of all of those abortion rights. And then Whoopi, Goldberg, her whole argument changes from, hey, it's not a matter of, if it's a life, it's a matter of, my privacy. It's between me and my doctor. And if I'm an atheist, and I can relate to this, her argument. If I'm an atheist and it's up to me, and I don't believe in what you guys believe in, it's up to me to make a choice for me and my family, because I have to tell my other kids, hey, look, I'm pregnant, but I don't want this other kid because we can't afford this and that. So it's nobody's right to know what I do. And technically speaking, she has that. It's a valid point, because why? The Constitution protects the minority voice, not the majority. If everybody says abortion is wrong, you still can't force somebody to not do it.
Right.
If unless you have real scientific proof that it's a real life and it's sustainable after 6 weeks and all this other stuff. And that's why I'm telling you, if they change the argument to economics, then you have to give them an economic solution and why they cannot do it. Because that's the whole point. Like, there's always something like the chicken and the egg argument. Who came first, the chicken or the egg? It doesn't matter. You got to have a solution for both people, both parties. Who came first, life or economics? Well, they're both important. So you have to deal with both angles. Of course, I believe, just in pure science, everybody knows it's viable. Look what they're doing with stem cells. You know what I mean? Come on, imagine what you can do with, I don't want to say fetal tissue, whatever, but.
Well, so that takes it back to the first thing I talked about, which is the booming abortion business, right? Outside of the law, where do you harvest the majority of stem cells? It's from fetal tissue or the placenta. And, that's why when Alex Jones comes on and rants about baby parts being sold to these research centers, that's not absurd, and that's a rather crude way of saying it, but it's true, because the majority of stem cell research comes from harvested fetal tissue. And even though that sounds rather inhumane and crazy,
but look, it's a real industry, just like selling blood.
Just like selling blood,
the Red Cross. That's why, because somebody goes to, during actually this would have something to do with the meeting yesterday, but somebody did make that suggestion. Why don't you work with the Red Cross? And I'm like, no, because they sell blood. Why would I donate? See, because the Red Cross, they make tons of money selling blood, and it's not right. Same thing with Planned Parenthood. They make tons of money selling, like Alex Jones says baby parts, but they call it like fetal tissue and.
Sure. Well, language again.
Yeah.
Again,
and it's
language.
all about language, but he's right. These really are baby parts, but scientifically speaking, you don't say baby parts. You just don't.
Well, what I also wanted to say too, that kind of relates to blood, right? This is just kind of a little bit of a tangent, but what about, selling blood? Yeah, that may not seem right, but what about donating blood? Like, donating.
That's the point. All these people donate blood. Right?
Do you not believe in being a blood donor, an organ donor, if you die and all that kind of stuff?
Hell no.
Really?
No, because they see that thing on the back. Oh, you're an organ donor? You're dying.
Yeah, they want your organs.
To revive you. And because why? Because look, they sell parts. This is what they do.
$25,000 for a kidney.
And it might even be higher than that now, because those prices are pretty old. Some people who are very sick will pay a lot of money to live, and that's the thing. It's really is a like an ethical conundrum, as they say. And
because here's the thing, right? If someone gets into an accident and an organ could save their life, that's always the thing. It's like, well, is he meant to die because he got into an accident? Can he be saved? Because that gets into that argument of preventable death, or it's not.
Yeah, but let's go. Okay, so let's run with this. If you're in a coma, you're technically brain dead, right? If you're brain dead,
yeah,
and you're just alive, the machines are keeping you alive. You're a vegetable. What do you do? Do you kill the guy and sell the body parts, or what do you do? And I say keep him alive because you never know.
Yeah.
Sometimes these guys wake up and hell, we still don't know what's going on in there.
Yeah.
Because they could be in a dream state. We don't know. Just because we can't detect.
I've heard stories of people, but when they wake up from, like, I guess, long comas, right? We think of like, oh, he's probably dead. And he wakes up, he just feels like he just was asleep for a long time. He's just like, that's literally sometimes the reaction where it's like, whoa, everybody got old. I just felt like I took a nap. Like,
no, but you want to know what's funny? Because a lot of Christian people or people of faith, they'll say, oh, just let me die. And I'm like, I thought you guys believed in life and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But it's like, it always tripped me out because here I am, a hardcore atheist. I'm like, dude, keep me on that ventilator. I'm like, I don't want to die. If I'm a vegetable, I don't care. You guys wipe my ass and rotate me so I don't get bed sores. I said, I want to live. I said, I don't care how much of a burden I am on other people.
But that kind of ties it back into the industry of abortion, which I was talking about. The manipulation of language is very, very clear because they don't claim outwardly that the big percentage of their business is actual abortions that get performed, and that's false. You hear that Asian lady who's now the director of Planned Parenthood, and she's like, they're those counselors.
No, I haven't heard her. What's she saying? Like, I didn't know that.
She just says things like, no, we provide counseling services for motherhood and all that kind of, like, get out of here. You don't do that stuff.
Well, but hold on, but they do. And I'm glad you brought that up. You know what they're called?
It's not a big percentage of their service.
No, oh God, no, this is really something bizarre. And no, but going back to what you're saying, it's called Pro Voice. And it's a counseling service. I forgot who funded it, but it started out of Berkeley, out of Oakland.
Oh boy.
No, I'm not kidding. It's like, these are just coincidences, but the women who started it were bartenders in Oakland. And
what?
So
How have I not heard of this? I'm going to look it up while you're talking about it.
Yeah, it's called Pro Voice. She's really big. She's huge, in fact. She did TED Talks and stuff like that. She got really huge. So they offer services, counseling services to people who've had abortions.
Okay.
That's what they provide, and you talk about it. And or just to talk in general, and but it's how they talk and how they speak is real effective because that's how real counselors talk. They listen to you, and then like
they're not salesmen.
Yeah, pretty much. And they're like an echo chamber. Like, they're your personal echo chamber. So if you mention God, then they'll talk about God. If they say transgender, then they'll say transgender. They just echo you, and they'll just make you feel better about having abortions. They just do, because whatever, because here's the thing. A lot of people don't know what empathy is.
Yeah.
Like, hold on, just let her do her thing. So she knows about empathy. I know about empathy. I might not be empathetic, but I know how to pretend to be empathetic, because I feel nothing for.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
For nobody, or for anybody is the proper grammar. Hold on, can you take it for a second?
Yeah. Hi, counselor.
Hello.
So anyway, yeah.
When is she gonna show her face?
Yeah, when she feels better about her, she'll come on one day. But you know how it is after you've had a baby. But anyway,
yeah. For those of you listeners, just to say real quick, I know you guys sometimes hear baby cries. That's Professor Dregg's daughter, but I won't say the names. Just he's got a family. He's a father, so. What you're hearing is his baby, and I'm sorry, it's kind of weird because we're talking about abortions and all that.
I know, but the thing is, because like a lot of people, they trip out. They go like, "You're like the weirdest atheist," because like a lot of atheists don't believe in big families and things like that.
Yeah, well, because you, like I said, you're conservative, and it comes from
like, I'm not gonna have a clan. That's the whole point of having kids. So you could dominate a market somewhere. You know what I mean?
Hey, that's what what's his face? Rothschild, that's what he did. He literally trained
look at the Trumps
to become the biggest bankers in the world, go to all these different countries and basically be the money launderer.
Hey, look at Trump. Trump has all his kids involved. And I guarantee
that's how you build an empire. You do your family
I know
thing.
it's funny too, like his
The
daughter.
Walton family did the same thing, by the way.
Yeah, that's what you do. And so like the oldest always takes care of everything. So I'm gonna groom my kid to be like the clan leader, and then the boys, they'll just be the muscle. You know? That's what you do with family. But anyway, back to this abortion stuff. I mean, this is why I'm against abortion, because I honestly don't know why people don't want a family. It's just not natural. Like, we are built. There is no purpose to your life except to have babies. I mean, every species is like this. There is no purpose to life other than to make sure your species survive. That's just what it is. The only difference from us and other animals is we're aware of it. Other animals don't know that's what they're supposed to do, but that's what they're designed to do. Same as us. But I think from now reading the Bible, I honestly believe that there is something more. Like, the reason why we have thought is to figure things out on purpose. So this is one of the things we have to figure out on our own. Like, why is abortion bad? It should be self-evident why it's bad, but for argument's sake, we have to go with the Constitution and morals and ethics. But scientifically speaking, natural abortions happen. They're called miscarriages. If you have a miscarriage, well, that's for a reason. But to do it on purpose goes against science, because our body's not built to handle abortions, not psychologically, not physically.
It is traumatizing.
But now it's a big industry. So that is why we're talking about the industry of making abortions legal. It's a big thing. But that's why I said the other day, we have to pay women to have these babies, because nobody wants an abortion. If you're going to use the economic argument, guess what? Whoopi's correct. It's an economic decision. So what do you tell somebody who has 3 or 4 kids that can't afford another kid? So, she has to get strength from her kids to go ahead and get this abortion. So what do you tell them? Hey, look, I'll give you $25,000 for an adoption agency, because couples should pay for adoption. Why not?
Yeah.
Why is that a bad thing? Why can't, if they're going to pay $25,000 for a genetic mutation and have 8 babies and 1 egg, like the Octomom, you know what I mean?
Might as well incentivize them. Yeah.
$25,000 for an adoption, and just do it like that. I mean, there is nothing wrong with that. And if women want to be baby making machines, then let them. Guys can go to a sperm bank and donate sperm, or they get paid for it.
Right.
I mean, so why can't women be paid for making babies for couples who can't have them? Mm-hmm. They could even use the sperm of the guy, of the dad, so at least it's half, you know what I mean? And they don't have to have, well, I guess it should be done through sex, but but if you're going to do in vitro or something, I guess it's possible, but I don't know. The thing is, we honestly should pay people to have babies, carry it through, and just go through an adoption. Because I honestly don't know anybody who suffers psychological damages from adoptions like they do from abortions.
Yeah.
Because everybody I know, I mean, only one girl I know that's had an abortion went through it like it was nothing. She was giggling, laughing, just...
Really?
Well, not like giggling, laughing, like, haha, I got an abortion. No, but she was just there. But she told me, she was like, yeah, like all the other girls are crying. And I was just like thinking, oh my God, it wasn't that, it's not that bad. Just have some cookies. And, it's like, it's a picnic in here. Just da-da-da-da-da. And I'm thinking, but see, not everybody's the same. There are some sociopathic people. I'm a sociopath. A lot of people think I'm a sociopath, so is it possible? Possibly, because I've done a lot of heinous things. So, and that's why I can honestly witness a lot of things. And like, it bothers me now, but it didn't bother me then. So like going through certain things, it doesn't bother me, but looking back on it and and using hindsight, like, man, that's really messed up. Or if I watch, movies, or it bothers me, but but not like it should normal people. Like a normal person, when they see something, it really bothers them. And some people are missing that trait, and which makes it easier to make this into a business. Because like that doctor, the one who is part of San Francisco politics, dude, she is a special person to just continually just kill. And, and you're going to tell me she's not a sociopath? You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's just how it goes. There are sociopaths in our society, and they're allowed to conduct business and make it a business. Because, in theory, and here's a counter argument, is it better for this sociopath to kill people who are 10 years old, 11 years old, or let her get her aggressions out and kill somebody we don't know?
Probably people we don't know. That's what most people would advocate for.
No, but that's why abortions are legal.
Yeah, that's why they're there, right?
Because it is a business for sociopaths. I'm not kidding you. And I hate to say it, it's like it takes a sociopath to know a sociopath, but it's kind of like you don't hear this. Nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever talks about the psychological makeup of a doctor who is willing to do this.
Right.
Look at the Dr. Death, Dr. Kevorkian. He was killing old people. He went to prison. It was a big deal because he was killing people who were alive, who wanted to die because they're old or whatever. But either way, he was still killing people. And that bothered. See, that never caught on. Killing old people never caught on. Why? Because it's too much for people to bear, because they can see an old person die. And that's not right. Those are people we know. Those people have influence over somebody.
Families, experiences.
Yeah. So to see somebody, a sociopath, kill somebody, it's easier to condemn Dr. Kevorkian than it is, I don't want to name names, but an abortion doctor, because I don't want people to target them.
Yeah.
But it's the truth. How can you say she's not a sociopath? She is. That's why it's a business. A bunch of sociopaths are making a ton of money.
Well, that's and here's the thing. Another thing about sociopathic behavior, right, is that to some degree, for that type of thing to be accepted by, I guess, common folk who aren't of the same type of personality type, turns you into a pathological liar. Because that's what these counselors do. They're not counselors, they're salesmen. They get you sold on an abortion and how you're not ready to do this. And that's the thing. That's why I keep bringing it back to language, right? Because language is how we communicate, and how we
allows it
manipulate
to happen.
People. Yeah, but also people use this whole it's constitutional, it's not constitutional against people to shut them up and to manipulate them, when we've already established that all speech is constitutional. So by saying abortion is murder, right, for people who are advocating for it, obviously it's not gonna bode very well. Here's the thing, it makes their job harder. It's harder for you to make money when people are given the cold hard truth. Here's the deal. I don't think I would be as polarized about it, right? It's like if everybody walked into an abortion, I mean, obviously it wouldn't work as well. It wouldn't be as effective, but think about it, right? That girl that you sent me a video of, Lila Rose, the anti-abortion activist, this is what she does. She shows people what an abortion really looks like, right? Now, here's the deal. If you had at a Planned Parenthood clinic a pro-lifer and a pro-choicer and say, hey, you can murder your baby or you cannot, right? I think that most sensible people would go, well, clearly you're going to feel, that this is what it is. But just how people are, right? People are good-natured, I would like to think, and know that murdering life is bad. You wouldn't make any money as an abortion clinic. That's why even with placement, right? And them shutting down speech and saying, well, it's unconstitutional to have these abortion laws come into play right now. Like, that's what people are saying. They're not saying that it's wrong or right. They're saying it's not constitutional, because if you want to debate whether it's wrong or right, there's no argument. Everyone knows it's wrong. That's why it turns people like this who advocate it into pathological liars, because you become deniers of it. Think about it, right? A lot of these people are just constantly in denial about it. They are. And the former Planned Parenthood director, what's her face, right, that went on to do the Unplanned movie, all that kind of stuff. A lot of it was, I think, a mixture, even in her eyes, was she didn't really know it for herself. She didn't see it until she saw it. So it was like selective ignorance. But that's also part of it. That's also part of how people get coerced, because they just don't know and they don't bother looking into it. I think a lot of these women, I think, are sensible people. Really, I think that they are sensible people, but they just don't want to really know. They don't really want to know.
This might blow some doors open or blow some minds, but here is the reality. As long as we have this death culture where killing is okay, then abortions are here to stay. Because what is the difference from allowing a police officer to kill and an abortion doctor to kill? What's the difference? You're still killing life.
Nothing. From a fundamental standpoint, nothing.
Because think about this. When a cop kills somebody, that person's unwanted in our society.
That's true.
He's an unwanted person. So it's okay to kill. The same thing with the baby. They're not wanted. It's okay to kill unwanted people. That is our culture.
And isn't that funny how Margaret Sanger and Charles Darwin believed in the eradication of unwanted people.
Yeah,
whether
the unwanted people.
Babies or people who were killed by cops. So you're right. That did blow my mind. Wow, that was good. Because think about it, right? You're right. As long as we glamorize and we desensitize people to getting rid of so-called undesirables in our society, as opposed to the conservative outlook.
That word, undesirable, makes me, like, come on, really?
But see, this is why when we talked about conservatism, and you talk about a real conservative also has to look out for the people who can't help themselves.
Yep.
And those are the people that progressives want to rid ourselves of in our society, right? Like the whole point of eugenics in the beginning was what? To basically outbreed or selectively breed out people who are so-called undesirable, whether they had genetic traits that they deemed to be inferior.
Okay, so now because I want to interrupt, because I'm telling you now, the reason why it's a business and the reason why language is very important, and this is going to get religious like in about 5 seconds, but here's the thing. The reason why it's a business is because we make killing a business. When you're selling body parts, somebody literally had to die to do this. And most likely they were killed to get these body parts, because nobody in their right mind wants to do this. But the problem always, and here's the thing, all of these people always claim to be conservative, but they're not. Because I hate to say this, but I know a lot of conservative Jews. I know a lot of conservative Muslims, a lot of them, because they're all conservative based on our definition of conservatives. Like you go to Rush Limbaugh or, another conservative, like the National Review. Everybody who claims to be a conservative, their definition would be what, most Jews are, or most Muslims are. They all have the same principles. But the reality is this: you cannot be a conservative unless you honestly believe in the fundamental my understanding of what Jesus was talking about when it came to economics and taking care of other people, and his stance on killing. Because although it says in the New Testament's about murder is illegal, that's one of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not kill. Yeah. But they've changed the language of killing to make it mean other things. So that's why there's all kinds of degrees of killing. There's accidental killing,
second degree, involuntary manslaughter.
Well, you can kill for medical reasons. You know what I mean? Like there's all kinds of, but the thing is like this. So the Old Testament Jewish people, they're the ones that started this whole thing about changing the language to make it fit the laws of Moses down in Exodus, right? And the Ten Commandments stuff. So they were the ones that did this. They were the first ones to do this. Although they're conservative, they're the ones that started. I mean, it all came from them with the changing of the languages in order to, you know, get over on the law. If the law says thou shalt not kill, well, guess what? I didn't kill this person. I did something else. You know, like I did manslaughter. I didn't kill him. It was a vehicular manslaughter. You know, it's right because it was an accident. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
You know, and you know what I mean, and that's the thing.
Yeah, no. I mean, I totally know what you mean by that.
Well,
I think,
but it's the Christians are the only ones, from what I can understand, that honestly understands that killing is wrong, because they're the ones that are anti-violence. Because you know, I hear Mark Levin, and he said it again just recently. All you code pink Republicans are this gutless, spineless, but that's why he's not a conservative. If you are a war hawk or somebody who wants to control other countries, that's not the Christian way.
Right. It's can't. Gosh, I mean, like, in a weird way, this is what I have to say, right? Because I support our military, but I do not support wars and killing. Like, I understand you got to train soldiers, right? You got to train people, but I feel like where I differ from a lot of conservatives is that I don't believe in interventionist wars, and I don't even believe in foreign aid. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. Like, it's take care of your own, take care of your poor, your sick, your people who are less fortunate, right, in your own country. And like, I get having a strong military establishes America as a world superpower, you know, the authority, you know, that kind of thing. I get
but that's okay. See,
that's okay, but not
no. But see, but here's the thing. Because like a lot of, and I don't even know the Christian Bible. God, I got to start reading it. But from my understanding of turning the other cheek, it literally means be defensive. Because it's not just
right.
He says, if somebody steals from me, offer him the other thing you got. Why? Why do you have to give? Because I'm telling you now, like, God dang it, like I really got to start reading the Bible. But because I'm so curious about it. But here's my thing, just from understanding this, and this is how you stop wars. Because when you turn the other cheek, you know what that means? You have to, like, in order to sustain an attack, when somebody hits you in the face, and then you got to let them hit you on the other face. That's like what, you know, you have to be trained in order to take such punishment. So when somebody hits you square, because you know, this like a real life thing happened. My brother got hit square in the freaking face, full force, by a big man who was wearing a ring. Didn't move him.
Right.
And he didn't attack. He wanted to attack, but you know, because his girlfriend was there, you know, nothing went down because, you know, he had it in his head, like, you know, whatever. But he was able to take it. And when that dude saw that my brother took his very best shot and didn't even move him, he automatically backed down because he thought, holy crap, you know, I gave him my best shot and he took it.
Yeah.
So that's why we need a strong military defense, because you know what? We will take it. And when weaker people see how strong we are, they will back off. But then that's not enough in order to dominate. You have to, because those types of people also tend to be your thieves.
Yeah.
People looking for wars are also the people who are your thieves. So how do you make a thief not into a thief anymore? Well, that's how you teach them how to do that fishing stuff. You know, like I guess somewhere in the Bible it says, teach a man to fish. Don't give him fish. Teach him how to fish. I don't know who came up with that, but I'm assuming that's biblical somewhere. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people believe Jesus is all about chairs. Like, no, that's why he was trying to tell those guys how to deal with economics.
Right.
When he was angry. You know what I mean? And that always stuck with me. Jesus was an angry, angry man, you know, because that's why he could take punishment. That's why he could tell a thief, you know, because he's dealing with these lowlives all the time. And he's always trying to fix them. And that's our problem. We don't try to fix anybody. Christian people are too humble to try to fix people because they're like, well, we're judging them. You're not judging anybody. You're just fixing them because somehow, some way, you guys got more than us.
Right.
So it's up to you guys to go into the streets and change the mentality of these people, change the mentality and show people that abortions is just a fancy way of saying killing. You know, abortion, that's 3 syllables. Kill, that's 1 syllable. It's a fancy word. We're monosyllabic people. We use 1 syllable. You know what I mean? If you want to reach somebody in the streets, use 1 syllable. Don't use 3. Or too many. You know what I mean? It's like, look, that's kill. That's kill. Kill bad. Kill bad. That's all you got to do. But as long as you go in there strong, people will respect that. And they'll learn from you. But instead, who's strong? Well, Nancy Pelosi seems strong. Whoopi Goldberg seems strong. But if you look at Whoopi, seriously, she's never been in a fight in her life. And if she was, I bet you she lost. You know, she's not a real fighter. All these progressives, they're good with language. But they're not physically strong. So they appear strong. And their appearances of appearing strong allows them to lead everybody into doing really bad sociopathic things. Because look, as a sociopath, I should not be leading anybody into anywhere because I'm a sociopath.
Right.
You know, that's a bad thing. How is that good? It's not good. And Christians always stay silent, most of them. Because you see a lot of these Christians who are mega leaders and they say all these bad things about abortion this, abortion that, but they don't come up with any solutions as they fly away to their fancy jets. You know what I mean? Just making money. And it just
those preaching machines, as they call them.
Yeah, and they turn them into atheists. They really do. Or they spawn because, you know, like, gosh darn it, like yeah, at my meeting yesterday, they're having some kind of celebration at the Jim Jones Church down in San Francisco.
Jim Jones, the cult leader.
More like the escape of Jim Jones, because it actually happened in the Fillmore. And you know, yeah, I know it's a mess down there. So yeah. So you know what I mean? But it's the truth. It spawns. Christians are responsible for guys like Jim Jones. It's the truth. That's just what happens. You know what I mean? And now look what happened. San Francisco is a progressive paradise. Why? Because the leaders of Christian people were very weak and they just, you know, and that's why it's like, I really, you know, try to encourage, you know, people to honestly, if you're a Christian, you got to be a leader. You got to stop being nice. You got to understand when you turn the other cheek, that means you are physically intimidating to people. You know what I mean? Because when you can do that, that takes a lot of strength. And people will listen. I mean, it's just how we're animals. Long story short, people respond to strength. And if Christians are given this power, unlike the Jews, unlike the Muslims, because gosh, everybody knows Buddhists, you know.
Yeah. Anything goes, anything gives.
Yeah, and therefore the taken. You can overtake a Buddhist. You just can't.
Well, because they don't have anything. They don't believe in having anything. And
yeah, and they believe in nothing. So when the Mandarins, you know, like, come on, if you believe in something, and like to me, the Mandarins were very evil type people. They were, and because they're, you know, like atheists who are very educated are very scary. Those are the people you need to fear, and that was the Mandarins. They were a very educated group of scary atheists. And Jesus, they were killing people unlike we've ever seen, but they got everybody into suicidal behavior, much like progressives.
Right.
And that's not good. But anyway, so, and you know, but anyway, so tying it back to the business of abortion, it's because of the Christians. They created all of this. Believe it or not, I mean, it's the Christian people who allowed the bastardization of language. You know, this is what happens. You know, I don't know if it's the Catholic Church or the Baptist churches, but either way, it falls back on Christianity. Because I'm almost certain there were no abortions way back in the Roman times. You know what I mean? I don't think there were aborting babies. I think it's a recent thing. You know, because I'm thinking like, did they abort babies way back in the old days? I don't think so. Like, I honestly don't know. I mean, obviously, like, there was violence against women, but that's not the same as literally targeting, killing, a baby. Like, I know they killed, if somebody was accused of having an affair, then they would kill that child.
Well, yeah, that was your punishment, adultery.
Yeah, but
So,
that's not the same as an abortion. So, yeah, I think this is a new phenomenon, and I honestly believe it's the Christian people's fault because, like so many so many Christian leaders, they misuse the English language in the Bible. You know what I mean? And that's what I think, because from me reading just Genesis and Exodus, dude, I know for a fact that they're misusing the language in the Bible, because like what happens in Genesis, what happens in Exodus, dude. Okay, so because this totally reminds me, when Moses came down from the mountain, he was an old man, right? That is scientifically proven. There is science behind it. That's why, like, how in the hell do we not know this? How come nobody talks about this? Not one biblical scholar talks about the muon particle that literally travels at, like, it's almost at the speed of light, right? It's one of the particles that are always constantly going at the speed of light. That particle lives 25 times longer, travels distances, much, much greater than other particles. And why is that? Mm-hmm. And it's technically was in the Bible, because in theory, if we believe in the Big Bang and the math behind it, that means God is moving probably faster than the speed of light. But since the only particles we know can only move almost at the speed of light, not quite at the speed of light. I mean, there's some particles that move faster, but that we know of, that are on this planet, that move at the speed of light, close to it. So if Moses is moving closer to the speed of light, well, that explains why he was aged so much. Because, see, everybody believes in what Einstein was saying, that when you move closer to the speed of light, everything slows down. So when you come back to Earth, everybody's dead. But in fact, it was the opposite. Moses came back old, and everybody else was like the same age. Moses aged greatly. Why? Because particles moving at close to the speed of light will age. I mean, they just see way more. Mm-hmm. So, and yeah, but it comes to this time thing and blah, 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 blah. But I did a really crap job explaining it. But that's basically what it means. When you're traveling at the speed of light, everything's accelerated. So it's like riding on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like when there's like a Family Guy cartoon when Peter's stuck on this train and his body is totally disfigured. But it's the truth. When you're traveling fast and you feel these G-forces, your body feels the pressure. You know how it feels to be on a roller coaster.
Oh yeah. So that's when you feel like your stomach is in a place where it's not supposed to be.
Exactly. So your body's actually moving faster to, what's that word? To compensate for the speeds.
Right.
And that's what's happening. Your body's compensating. Moses' body had to accelerate and age to compensate with traveling at God's speed. And God allowed it to happen. That's why he came down as an old man. His body aged that fast. And science has proven that. So it's a fact. So how, I know just from reading Exodus, reading Genesis, how everybody misuses the language in the Bible for their own purposes. And I'm telling you now, I'm just a big believer. I bet you when I get to the 5th book, it's nothing but science in that Bible, because that's all it is. Because how come nobody ever asked, why did God age? I mean, not God. Why did Moses age so quickly? Why? But here's the greater thing. Why did Moses make Aaron his spokesperson? But it's the truth.
Well, I mean, in the Bible story is because he didn't want to be the spokesperson, go up against Pharaoh with the 10 plagues. He didn't want to, like, Moses.
Or it could have been because he couldn't because of the physical change. Like, because trust me, like I could only imagine traveling that fast, what it does to somebody. Like, it's
But
like
God, he went up the mountain to talk to God, right? I mean, I don't know if he was in space or anything. That's not clear?
well, kind of, because he describes like the earth being like the spear, and like he had this perspective of like the cloud, like, so he had to have gone somewhere, because you can see, like, if you're
he entered into the presence of God is what happened.
well, but here's the thing: if you're on top of a mountain, you cannot see the entire planet. You can't see that it's a sphere. You can't.
Yeah.
He had to have seen it from above. You know what I mean? So that, like, there's something like, and that's,
well, you're right, because he came back from the mountain not just with the 10 Commandments. He came back with the first 5 books of the Bible too, because Genesis was given to him by God. Like, he wrote it down.
Yeah, no, but that's why, like, this whole thing is, there's something that we're missing. No, but I'm telling, that's why it's
he
like
came back with what the Jews would consider be the original Torah, first 5 books. Yeah,
I'm telling, it's instruction manual. But either way, but
that's an instruction.
No, but see, because there has to be. I mean,
think you'd get a real kick out of reading Leviticus, because Leviticus, right? Levitical priests, as in from Levites, from Aaron's line, and this is all about the tabernacle and the animal sacrifices, and this is old ancient Jewish tradition. Nah, I mean, I just think that it would give, because those are all instructions from God. Like, it's specific. It's just like,
interesting.
And I think you would get a kick out of it too, because measurements are in the book of Leviticus, like how to build the tabernacle, build the Ark of the Covenant. Like, it's all measurements. They call it cubits, which is like an ancient.
Yeah, I heard of cubits.
Yeah, it's
so that's in the Bible. I did not know that.
Well, you say it's an instruction manual. Leviticus is nothing but not nothing but Leviticus were instructions specifically for Levites, which were priests.
Yeah.
So Aaron's line are the priests, right? They were selected by God to be priests, and that's why it's called Leviticus, Levitical priests, and it's all about the tabernacle, Ark of the Covenant, all that kind of stuff.
No,
I think you would. I think you'd get a kick out of it. But you gotta.
So Levi's part of the Leviticus too, like
Levi is one of the sons of Jacob, or also called Israel.
Those genes are biblical genes, like that's a religious company.
No. Levitical is just, that's your family line, that's your bloodline. And
no, so do you think Levi's is from the Bible?
No, genes.
No. That's why it's a stupid.
No, it's not.
No, that's why I was like,
Levi is a very common name, but Levi is also a biblical tribe. It's a one of.
So that's what I wonder if that's from.
It's in Genesis. It's one of, because Jacob had 12 sons. Those 12 sons were the 12 tribes of Israel, 12 tribes of the Jews. Levi is.
I gotta find out.
Aaron comes from Levi. Aaron is a descendant of Levi.
Yeah, and
remember those 12.
Moses.
Yeah, and this is when they went to Egypt, right? Because there was a famine in the land, so they stayed in Egypt. They became slaves because they were there for like 400 years. The time between Genesis and Exodus is about 400 years.
Yeah, but I'm telling you now, I believe. No, but this is why I believe. I don't know. Like, it might not even been. I don't know. Like, just it might not even been literal 400 years. It could have been 400 Moses years. You know what I mean? Because
I don't know about that, but yeah,
he was so much older than everybody.
Well, but it's not. No. Moses didn't exist at the end of Genesis. Moses was given up as a baby in Egypt. This is when the Israelites in Egypt, and this is when the Pharaoh was executing all the firstborn because they had grown powerful. They had grown into a mighty nation. That's the God's covenant to Abraham. It's like,
and they didn't call that abortion. Notice that. And they did not call that abortion.
Yeah, but the kids were already born. Like the Pharaoh was.
That's what I'm saying. They called it execution. No, because what is the word in abortion?
Abort?
Just call it execution.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. You're basically executing a kid.
I think we would react very differently as a society if we used language. Again, it comes back to words.
Yeah, but see, that's my point. Christians, they are so easy not to call an execution an execution. They call it an abortion. But when you're killing kids, let's execute them. That's serious. Abortion, it's just stopping. Because that's what abort means. Abort means to stop.
Yeah. Man.
It's the truth. That's just how it goes. I'm telling you. That's I don't know. Like, for some reason, I don't know why, but Christians were given the keys to everything, and they don't use it. It's
Are you
like,
sure it wasn't the Jews that were given that?
dude, I know for a fact. It's like you guys were given the keys to Lamborghini, but you're like, I don't want to drive it. I'm going to drive this Volkswagen from 1965, you know. But that's what you guys do. I'm thinking, I don't understand that, because it's amazing. Because just reading, I'm not done with Exodus. I just started. But just reading it, it's insane. And I'm thinking, if I had this knowledge before, God, I would probably be the president by now. But then in an evil way, most likely. But you know what I mean? But I think that's what the Jews did, probably, because they never got to the New Testament. So they're like, just, you know what I mean? They just get stuck with what they know. They use that power for their own personal benefit. And boom, we got today's world problems. But it's the truth. Why do we have it? Because the Muslims are pretty much the same way.
Yeah.
They just don't believe. They believe Jesus was just a weak philosopher who ultimately got killed. Seriously.
Yeah.
And because I know a lot of Muslims, and it's just, you know, they have respect for Jesus the same way we have respect for Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
You know, but the difference is Martin Luther King was a hoax. And Jesus most likely was not. We just don't understand. Well, see, because here's the thing. Muslims hate everything about the Old Testament, like the Jewish Bible. They just hate it. And that's probably why they hate Jesus, too, because, you know, Jesus, all he was doing was interpreting the Old Testament into a way that would help everybody on the planet versus only one sect of people. Because that's what I think. Why would we have this type of knowledge? Why would we be given knowledge about particles, how particles react, going towards the speed of light? Why? Why is this? To just help Jewish people? A small sect of 12 tribes, you know, who have no home and are complacent and willing to be slaves or enslaved people and run around worshiping cows? You know what I mean? It's like, that's why God gave Jews all that? Hell no. It's for everybody's benefit, not just a bunch of people who may or may not worship God. But it's the truth. That's the problem with Jews. Like, right? That you know, Moses did all these great things. He went away for, well, I guess a long time, but no, not that long of a time. Long time for Moses, but not a long time for the Jews. He was gone for not that long. And just like that, they lost faith and became a bunch of cow worshiping, you know, gold worshiping people in what, under a week, maybe? Seriously.
I think it was 40 days, but I could be wrong about that.
No, but the thing is, come on.
Yeah.
That fast? Your memory is that short? Dude, I know crackheads that have more loyalty than that. But it's the truth. How can a group of people who are enslaved, all this stuff, and in a day or two, because 40 days, 2 months, 3 months, that's just a couple of days. How can somebody change that quickly? Because that's how stupid they are. Seriously, that's
no. I mean, I think that's but see, I think we gotta again bring it back. Like, give us your final thoughts on the language of it, because this is important. It is about the language of it, the manipulation that.
Well, see, but according to the Bible, somebody manipulated the Jewish people to do all of that. So, and I think that's a problem with the Jewish people. They use language along with these people with abortions and all these things, whatever it is, war in other countries, conservative by name only, Republican by name only. All of these people use language to control us. And until Christian people understand the language in what Jesus was honestly saying, because I don't know what he was saying really, but from what I do understand, he was not saying what most Christian people say. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you that. There is no such thing, because abortion is not stopping. It is killing. It is an execution.
Right.
That's language. Christians never say that. And when they do say that, They don't offer any solutions, because the whole point of being a Christian is to take care of the weakest in your society, in your culture, whatever it is. But they don't. So Whoopi is right, but on the other side, Sonny's also right. They're both right, but nobody ever has solutions, and they do this on purpose. And that's why groups like Pro Voice are so prominent, so strong, because they individually reassure people that killing is okay. That's what they do. And that's why it's dangerous. And I still blame it on the Christians, because they're the only ones that honestly know how. They were given the manual and how to stop killing of all types by taking care of the weak. They know all that. That is not a Jewish thing. That is not a Muslim thing. They don't have that on the Muslim faith. They're not charitable people. Same thing with Jewish people. They are not charitable. They tithe, but they are not charitable the same way Jesus told them to be.
Right.
Which is probably why they had him killed. Because they go, I know, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, what'd they do with the retarded people? What'd they do with the mentally ill people? What'd they do with them? Were those babies okay to kill? I don't know.
Right.
But I do know that if you are a Christian, that is not something you do. I don't care how retarded you are. You don't kill them. That is not an excuse for an abortion. But a Jewish guy, it's okay.
Well said. No, I think that that's a good way to wrap it up there, because that is the manipulation of it. And I think that all we have to say for all the listeners who are listening, thank you guys for tuning in. It's all about making sure that we call a spade, and that's a starting point, because then people would be a little bit more receptive to that. So thanks, guys, for listening to AMAP episode 32, and we'll see you soon.